In 1877, Reconstruction collapsed. Federal troops withdrew, and millions of newly freed African Americans were left exposed to a rising tide of hatred and oppression. This is the story of their struggle to survive and to thrive in a land determined to deny them humanity. From the darkness of Jim Crow to the brilliance of Harlem's Renaissance, this is the next chapter in the story of America. After Reconstruction, Southern states passed a wave of laws known as Jim Crow. These laws enforced separation in every part of life: schools, hospitals, transportation, restaurants, neighborhoods, even cemeteries. Segregation was not just a social system, it was a legal weapon. Black people were denied voting rights through poll taxes, literacy tests, and violent intimidation. White supremacist groups terrorized entire communities. Between 1880 and 1940, thousands of African Americans were lynched, murdered in acts meant to terrorize and control. But even in this darkness, Black Americans built strong communities anchored by churches, schools, newspapers, and family networks. Their resilience would become a quiet revolution. Despite deep oppression, Black Americans pursued education with fierce determination. They built their own institutions: Tuskegee Institute, Howard University, Fisk University, Hampton Institute, dozens of smaller colleges and training schools. These schools produced teachers, doctors, lawyers, ministers, journalists, and activists. Two key leaders emerged: Booker T. Washington, who emphasized economic empowerment and education; W.E.B. Du Bois, who demanded full equality and political rights. Their debates shaped the direction of Black America for a generation. As segregation intensified, African Americans created their own economic systems. By the early 1900s, cities across the South and Midwest had thriving Black business districts. These included grocery stores, insurance companies, clothing shops, medical offices, barbershops and salons, newspapers, hotels, entire street blocks owned and operated by Black families. This surge in economic self-reliance inspired a new dream, one that would take shape in a place called Greenwood. In Tulsa, Oklahoma, African Americans built one of the most prosperous Black communities in the world, the Greenwood District, known as Black Wall Street. By the 1910s, doctors drove luxury cars, families owned beautiful homes, businesses thrived. The community had its own newspapers, schools, restaurants, and theaters. It was a symbol of what Black autonomy could achieve. Black Wall Street stood tall, proud, confident, and vibrant, but its success challenged the myths of white supremacy. And that made it a target. On May 31 and June 1, 1921, an accusation sparked a white mob to attack the Black community of Greenwood. What followed was one of the deadliest racial massacres in U.S. history. For 2 days, homes were burned, businesses looted, entire blocks reduced to ash. Airplanes reportedly dropped incendiary devices. Hundreds were killed. Thousands were left homeless. Black Wall Street, once a shining symbol of Black prosperity, was destroyed. Yet survivors rebuilt. They refused to vanish. Their resilience became a testament to the unbreakable spirit of Black America. Between 1916 and 1970, over 6 million African Americans left the South in what became known as the Great Migration, one of the largest population movements in modern history. They traveled to Chicago, Detroit, New York, Philadelphia, Los Angeles, Oakland, Cleveland, St. Louis. They sought jobs, safety, education, political power, the chance to breathe free. In northern cities, African Americans became factory workers, union organizers, business owners, and eventually political leaders. This migration transformed the entire nation culturally, economically, and politically. And in one neighborhood in New York City, a cultural revolution was about to explode. In the 1920s and 30s, the Harlem neighborhood of New York became the epicenter of a cultural and intellectual awakening. This was the Harlem Renaissance, a rebirth of Black creativity, pride, and identity. Writers and thinkers like Langston Hughes, Azora Neale Hurston, Countee Cullen, Claude McKay. Musicians like Duke Ellington, Louis Armstrong, Billie Holiday. Artists like Aaron Douglas. Together, they reshaped American art, literature, and music. Jazz became the soundtrack of a new era. Harlem became the heart of Black America. And the world began to recognize the brilliance of Black culture. From the ashes of slavery and the violence of Jim Crow, African Americans built schools, businesses, communities, and an enduring cultural legacy. They survived segregation, rebuilt after massacres, migrated across the nation, and sparked artistic revolutions that continue to shape America today. But the struggle for equality was far from over. Ahead lay new battles in the courts, in the streets, and in the hearts of a divided nation. The story continues. Watch out for Part 5.